The teller. The teller. The teller.
It's another day. Left jab, right jab. This is MMA. Mixed martial arts, quick body parts, undefeated when I pick 'em. Who the champ, who the victim? Looking in my crystal ball, I predict the winner. Never stop fighting. If you lose, keep your chin up. Know how the game go. I'm a smart fella. Welcome to the show. This the MMA fortune teller.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller. The teller. The teller. The teller.
What is up, everybody? We're hopping right into the show. We got Adrian Yanez with us right from the jump. And what's up, Adrian? How you doing over there?
Oh man, I'm doing good, man. I'm ecstatic, man. Especially after that fight, man. I'm super happy. I'm on cloud nine.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, for anybody that didn't catch the fight, which I'm pretty sure everyone that's in here definitely would have saw it this past Tuesday, just about 2 days ago. Adrian had pretty much that. Actually, for sure, the nastiest finish on the card. Everybody ended up getting a contract on that show, but I definitely felt you were the most deserving of that contract. What did it feel like to finally hear that you're officially part of the UFC?
Man, it was a little bit surreal for me, man. I know it was kind of like on ESPN and all that stuff. Whenever I was like, it took a second for me to even be like, wait, was he saying I was in? Because also a part of that too was also me being like, wait, did I just hear that right? Like, am I part of the UFC? So like a part of that was it was a mixture of both. Like it was like 40% like I didn't know if he said my name, or like if he was like actually calling me up, and the other 60% was me just being like, pinch me, like, is this real?
Yeah.
Like that, it was surreal for me. It was super surreal.
Yeah, I got to back you up on that too, because when I was watching it, I was more on your side because I noticed how you hesitated, but I was like, you know what? They didn't really officially say it how they normally say it, you know? He never really actually said, like, you know, you're in, but he just, because it was such a given. I think, you know, it was such a given, you know? But yeah, man, and so you knocked out, his name was it Brady, right? Brady Huang.
Yeah, Wang. Yeah, Wang. Yeah, I think it was Wang. Yeah,
tough customer, right? Tough customer. Tough night for him, you know? So, you know, going into that fight with Brady, I do believe that you had another fight that was supposed to be occurring sometime, you know, within all this COVID situation that hit, right? You did have a big fight lined up, right?
Yeah, I had a fight with Ricky Tercios, who had fought Boston Salmon. So he was already a Dana White Contender Series veteran. Like he's fought for the Contender Series. That was back in March. I was ready, slated up to fight him, and then next thing you know, COVID-19 actually ended up. The state of Texas just shut down, and like a couple hours right before the event, I get the call being like, "Hey, they shut down the event. The fight's off." And I was like, "Oh." It took me off my game, but then also that phone call was bittersweet because once I got that call, like the next thing that my coach was telling me is like, hey, look, but you also got a Contender Series shot anyway. So, but like not to say that I was gonna starch that guy, but I felt like I was. But on top of that, you know, it was a bittersweet call, like bittersweet, you know, to find out that it was super bitter that I didn't fight that night, but it was super sweet that I had got my Dana White Contender Series shot, and I was like super happy. I was like, man, this is like I was ready to fight that night just a couple hours before, and the next thing you know, I'm not. So I gotta pull myself together. That night was just hectic though, because I had to go around. This is the best thing about the UFC right now is that I don't have to sell tickets. I don't have to go around person to person selling tickets now. So I was like that whole thing. I had to go back and give everybody's tickets back within a 2-hour span, and man, that was a lot of work, man. That was a lot of work. But it was super cool with the Dana White Contender Series call.
Yeah, man. That you know, that really made the week exciting for me. I became a really big fan of the show, Dana White's Contender Series. Something about it, it just seems like almost every single fight delivers. Of course, your fight definitely delivered. And that whole entire night was an exciting night of fights. What was the atmosphere like being in that arena? Just this past Tuesday.
It was a different feeling for me. I felt, it's weird to say, but I felt at home. I didn't really feel out of place. I just felt like I should have been here a long time ago. It was like me just going in there, just the whole feeling, me being backstage and everything, like me warming up. It felt normal. It was normalized for me because I was already envisioning it in my head this whole entire training camp. Every night I would go to sleep just waking up and like just going to sleep, just dreaming of myself like being in the cage, walking out, just warming up in the bag, getting my hands wrapped and everything. So I had already visualized it so many times that it was just easy for me whenever I got there. Like, as soon as I got there, I was like, I wasn't surprised or I wasn't overtaken by the opportunity. Man, once the fight finished, that's when I was like, oh man, dude, I'm here. That's whenever everything all hit at once.
Yeah. What was that the first time you were able to meet Dana White? What was that experience like? If that was the first time.
Oh yeah, that was the first time I met Dana White, man. Man, you can tell, man. You can tell that he was happy with my performance. And then also, I made them laugh whenever I was going back. I was like, man, help me quit my day job, man.
Yeah.
I had them going. So man, it was a cool experience, man, getting to meet the boss and everything. So trade one boss for another boss, and frankly, this is the career path I want.
Yeah, man, definitely. So what was your other job that you were doing in the meantime?
Man, I'm pretty much the jerk that nobody wants to see. I'm the guy that cuts people's water off whenever you don't pay.
Oh man.
The bill. Yeah, it's I hate that part of the month. And I give people their bills and everything, and then they find out like they owe this much, and then they get mad at me, and I'm just, man, it can be an easier job, but man, the people just get mad whenever it comes to money, man. People get mad, and then at the same time, man, like I'm going around a lot in this heat. Like I'm in this Texas heat every day, so it was draining me. It's been draining me, and then after like work a 10-hour day, and then go after work, go straight to training, come back, man. It's been draining, but man, I really wanted to do this, and as you can tell, once I hopped in that cage, everybody saw how bad I wanted it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I was gonna ask you, so what got you into MMA? But I think you answered that question, because if you're cutting people's water off, you got to be able to defend yourself.
Yeah.
But what did get you into MMA?
Man, it all started with like MMA, mixed martial arts. It ends with martial arts. So like I've always been a fan of boxing, and I've always been wanting to be a boxer. Whenever I was younger, we were going around trying to find a gym, but just nothing ever came through fruition. But my dad was a boxer back in the day, and I wanted to follow those footsteps and become a boxer. So it was just always something that I wanted to do. I always wanted to do something with fighting, man. I love fighting games. I love the Mortal Kombats, the Fight Nights, the Street Fighters, all of that. Like I loved it.
Yeah.
But just none of it really was possible for us at the time. And then one day I was at the mall. Like I went to the mall with my mom, and I was a teenager, and I was really reluctant to go. I didn't really want to go. Of course, nobody wants to go to the mall with their mom. They just want to sit back and chill and be with the homies. But
yeah.
I went and ended up finding the gym and tried one class and just never left. And finally, I was just like, you know what? I want to do this fighting thing. I want to try it out. And tried it, and then fell in absolute love with it. Never wanted to turn back.
That's awesome. And this was like an overall MMA type of gym, just like every type of discipline, like an overall mixed martial arts gym?
At the time they had every discipline. They had karate, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, judo, and wrestling. But as time went on, they started taking away classes. They took away the MMA program, and they took out the cage. They started doing like strictly jiu-jitsu stuff. And it was right after I had my first MMA debut fight. Like I just was looking around. It's like this wasn't the gym that I started at, so I ended up finding my coach that I train with now, Saul Solis. You know, he from there on out, I've been with him, and he's gotten me to this point.
That's awesome. And so, like going into that gym for the first time, being that your dad was a boxer, you already had some experience with boxing and whatnot. Like maybe your father teaching you, how to use your hands and everything.
Yeah, my dad did teach us a thing or two. You know, he would show us how to hold our hands, where our shoulders needed to be a lot of the times. But my dad was also was a hardworking man. So there was always like the glimpses that we had with our dad was usually closer to like 7 o'clock to nighttime, and in the mornings we'd only see him for like a little bit. But that was because he was always working. The weekends, we really didn't want to do anything because my dad was working so much. You know, we just go out there and take a drive and relax, go out to eat because like it would be cool. Because he did do it every other weekend. Like he would show us how to box a little bit in the backyard. But man, like my dad would just be tired, so we just go around, we drive, have relaxing weekends most of the time, which I really appreciated, honestly.
Yeah.
So, like he showed us how to box, but man, we were just watching boxing fights consistently. We watched more boxing than us actually working in the back, So
yeah.
So I had somewhat experience with it, but it's always like like the people that say, yeah, I've done jiu-jitsu. How many times you do it? Like, oh yeah, every other week. Like, so they're never really gonna get the full benefits of it.
Yeah, I can relate to you in a lot of ways from what you were saying. So, like, my dad was an amateur boxer in New York. He used to have, like, the trophies and whatnot, but the amateur stuff, he used to box with, like, cops and those little, like, those places. And growing up, my dad was a big he still is a boxing fan, really, until I started pushing the MMA thing on him. But growing up, we always had, was it HBO After Dark, all the boxings. We used to more so watch the replays, the big pay-per-views. They'd put them on HBO the following weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And we would try to make sure we didn't know who won the fight and then try to watch it, like act like it was live. But, eventually I started getting big into the UFC when I was in like high school or whatnot. And I started trying to show it to him. He thought it was a little bit barbaric, but now, nowadays, it's a whole different thing. Yeah. I'm curious. So your dad, was he a fan of MMA as well? Or what were his thoughts on MMA?
Man, he really didn't think too much of it, man. Honestly, it kind of portrayed, like, I'll tell you a real quick story about how I thought about it whenever I first, like, I remember it was like an argument in school, and people were just like saying like, no, like MMA, like I was like, so boxing, like, dude, hands. It's like, why would I want to kick somebody and all this and that? And then they said something like, yeah, but like, it's just boxing, like it's boring. And I was like, no, it's not. Have you seen boxing? It's like, do you even watch it? What do you think? And I was like, man, MMA is just two grown men in underwear rolling around. And I thought it was like that. Like looking back, I kind of laugh at it because I was like, man, I'm that grown man rolling around in my underwear.
I know, right?
But yeah, so it's a complete 180 change. But also, my dad kind of thought like that too. But once I got into the sport, like my dad was like, oh, 100%, like he loves it.
That's awesome.
It's like it's like, whenever a dad doesn't know, like let's just say like a dad doesn't know how to play baseball, but his son wants to play baseball. The dad's gonna do whatever he can to learn about baseball and try to help him push him with that path. So that's why my dad was. Found out, like, we found MMA, and my dad consistently pushed us to be better in MMA. So at first, like looking at it, like when we weren't a part of it, weird. He didn't like it. He thought it was weird. He was like boxing, but then once we got into it, my dad was like fully invested. He was like, "All right, cool. This is what you want to do. Cool."
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. And it's so crazy because the sport of MMA is such a new sport. It really is. So it's like a lot of those older generations. It's a new thing. I mean, it's even new for like people like us. I feel like it's kind of developed. As we've kind of became adults right around our age frame. So it's a crazy thing. So now you got the contract, man. You're part of the UFC. And is there anybody that you're eyeing that you want to fight? I mean, I know that you've had some battles with some guys that are in the UFC now. I'm curious. Any thoughts on some guys you want to fight?
And if those names pop up on my radar, man, I'll fight. I'll fight.
Yeah.
Honestly, man, I'm finally getting my toes just dipped in the water, man. I'm here. I'm just trying to make a big splash, and just trying to fight. So anybody, anytime, anywhere, man. I'm ready to go. Can't really go anywhere because we got to be at the Apex. So.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
So, man,
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who's in front of me, man. I'm just ready to get in there and fight. Like I've waited so long for this opportunity. It finally came, and now that I'm here, man, I want to take full advantage of it. I really can't complain to who they put in front of me because everybody in the UFC is tough. The whole 135 division is tough. My division is really, really tough. So I just got to go in there and fight whoever they put in front of me.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter who's in front of me. I just got to go in there and starch these guys.
That's a great way to look at it. And and I saw something that you said earlier today from a previous interview that you were doing, and you talked about how in some of your past fights there was specific fights that you went in there and you were kind of just cruising in the fight, kind of just point style fighting, and you finally decided to kind of hit a switch where you wanted to go in there and just take these dudes out, and that's really been working for you. I'm curious just if you can talk us through that. How do you make that switch? Is there certain things that help you make that switch? How does that all come about?
Oh man, it was a lot of things, man. It wasn't just one thing. During this whole entire time, like I was going through the struggles of what happened with my father and everything. So my whole entire time, I just been trying to cope and just trying to find ways through it. But I wasn't doing it the right way. I wasn't reaching out. I was trying to do everything myself. So the only way I knew how to cope with anything was just to keep going, not even address it, just move on, trying to move on, still fight, and most of those, my fight that I lost with Domingo, I was just cruising. I just wasn't pulling the trigger. I just, whenever I needed to, and I wasn't urgent. There's a couple times that whenever I was on the ground, I wasn't urgent to go back up to my feet. There was a lot of openings that I should have taken, but I just didn't do it. I was in shape. I wasn't tired at the end of the fight, and kind of found that very in my own head, I've done the work and I should have been able to exert myself, but I didn't. And then my next fight, go out there. I felt like I cruised in that fight a little bit. With Trent Mo, I felt like I cruised. I should have finished him. I dropped him twice pretty badly, but I didn't finish him. Then my next fight, I go in there and I KO the guy flat. And then that fight with Miles Johns, that one was the one that hurt because for me, it was really centered around who I was doing it for. I wanted to bring that title. I was like my dad wanted this for me, so I was wanting to do it for my dad, and it wasn't on my own accord. It was I'm bringing this belt for my dad. I'm doing this for my dad, and I'm doing this because my dad wanted me to do this. So it was just, so me going through camp, I was just going through the phases. So I went into the fight and I was in shape. I go in there, whatever you think of the fight, I think I won, but also at the same time, at the end of the fight, I lost. So I had to take a step back and look at it well, it's still my fault. I didn't go in there. I didn't push the pace. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. I wasn't tired. I should have exerted myself to exhaustion if I really wanted it that bad. And then after that, I was I think the biggest reason why it wasn't working for me is because I was wanting to do it for somebody else instead of doing it for myself. Like I I was doing it because I wanted, like, it's not what is I how can I say it? It's I wanted to do this because I want to do it for me. I should, like, in the time that I was doing it, I was doing it because my dad wanted it for me instead of
Yeah.
me not wanting it for myself. So once that 2019 hit, like I had that whole just like new mindset and being like, I know this is what I want to do. It's like I don't have to put a label behind any of this. I don't have to do it for anybody else. I'm doing this for myself, and I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna perform. I'm gonna go out there and starch these guys because I know they're all gonna try to wrestle me. They're all gonna try to put me on my back. They all want to grind out a decision. I'm not gonna let that happen. I gotta go out there and start finishing these guys, and then finish 2 fights in 2019, and that third fight against Kyle Estrada, we had a war. He was a tough guy. I was a tough guy. I just didn't stop, kept coming forward, uh, trying to knock him out with every shot. And then this year, I wanted to fight 4 times this year and try to fight 4 times this year, but the whole COVID-19 stuff happened, and then this fight, I knew I was like, I worked hard to get here, and I really want this, and I know he doesn't want it as bad as I do. So whenever I went in there, I looked across the cage and I was like, sorry, bro, but I just want this a lot more.
Yeah. We talked about the fight off camera there for a second, and for everyone that's tuning in again, if you guys haven't seen that fight, you guys gotta check it out. It was a nasty first round knockout. But we talked about it off camera, like I said. But if you could just run us through being inside the octagon there, just getting that finish on the big. Obviously, you fought on a big stage before, right? You fought in some some nice organizations outside of the UFC as well. But this is, for the UFC, Dana White's Contender Series. This is the big show, I mean, this is as big as it can get, besides being in the UFC, in my opinion. There's some other major organizations out there, but I think the UFC is where it's at. UFC is where it's at. I mean, that's my opinion on it. So you're on the big show. This is your chance. You get that first round knockout. You got the boss over there. What do you feel like in that moment? What does it feel like?
Oh, man. Like, during the fight, it was all relaxation. It was just me just doing what I do. I felt calm, just was in there. I was ready to fire. I was ready to throw what I had. I knew what I had to do. After that fight, once that fight stopped, it was just more like, man, this is like, it was, everything just finally hit. And I was like, oh, man, like, I'm here. And I looked across, because it was funny because at the weigh-ins, I shook Sean Shelby's hand and I looked at him and I said, I'll see you later, future boss. And then he laughed. And then right after I knocked out Brady, I go to my corner, I'm yelling, yeah. And then I turn back and I look towards Sean Shelby. It's like, hey, look what I told you, boss. And then after that, it was just one of those things. And I've been on cloud nine, man. Cloud nine, because I've worked hard to get here. I've worked hard to get to this place. And like, the UFC is where I wanted to be because all the best fighters are in the UFC. So I want to fight the best, and the best is in the UFC. So I was just super, super stoked, super pumped. And then just for all of it just to come together, man, it felt like a dream to me. It felt like a dream that I didn't want to snap myself out of. Like, I was in a cloud nine, man. That's the best way to describe it. I was on cloud nine.
Yeah, man. See, it's kind of interesting, right? Because like, I could only imagine what that feeling's like. Somebody like me, that the first time I ever stepped into a gym, I was about 22 years old, and I started training, and I've been obsessed with MMA, since high school. And I'm like, what? I want to fight in the UFC one day. But I want to talk about this because I heard you mention this in another interview as well. The fact that you broke your jaw 2 separate times. I want to talk about the heart and the grit that it takes to finally make it to the big show. Because, I'll just give you guys, a quick little story about me. I trained for a couple years, and I wasn't that consistent with it. I was drinking a lot. I was young. I just graduated college. I was hanging out with girls, this and that. And, I remember I was at certain points in my life where I was just trying to figure out where I was going to get money to pay my rent. I was working as a landscaper, and I fracture my ankle. You know what I mean? Training, and I'm on crutches. I can't really go out there. I got my boss calling me up like, "Hey man, I need you to lay mulch, this and that." And I'm like, "Dude, I can't even walk, bro. I'm on crutches for like a month." You know what I mean? And then it's like, your gym, the guy at the gym is trying to collect money from you for training at the gym. It's really a tough thing. And the reason why I say all this, I just want people to understand like what it takes. Because like when I heard you talking about breaking your jaw 2 times and about like, being at points in time where you really had to push through and then to get to the position where you're at right now. You know what I mean? I can understand what that takes, you know what I mean? Or I can at least try to understand, and I really respect it.
And it was very crazy, man, because that was just hard for me because like whenever I first broke it, man, I was thinking, I was like, oh, like it was like right after my first pro fight. I was in there getting ready for my next fight, go in there and I break my jaw, and I was like it was crazy to me. I was like, once I went into the doctor's office, like they're like, you fractured your jaw. I was like, oh man, my fighting career is over. And then later, I actually get the surgery done. We were talking to the doctor, and the doctor's like, look, you can still fight. You just need to take the necessary time off. And I thought I did at the time. I was young. I was a young kid, meathead. Wanted to get back in there as soon as possible. Go in there and I fight. But it was 2 jaw breaks within the same year. So I went in there. So that was my second pro fight, is whenever I broke my jaw for the second time. So I went in there and fought. I broke my jaw in the first round. Kept fighting all the way through it, and then once I was done, like I went to the emergency room. The doctor went in and looked at me and was like, "Well, like you fractured your jaw," and I was like. I looked down. I was like, "Dude, are you fucking kidding me?" Those were my exact words. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And then next thing you know, he was telling me that like, man, you should really think about not fighting anymore.
Oof.
I was like, and he was just consistently he started naming names from. He's like Muhammad Ali, Freddie Roach. You don't want to have the shaking syndromes and all that. I was like. And like soon as he started saying all this stuff, he's like, first name he named was Muhammad Ali, and I was like, hey, I was like, dude, I'm already in the group of names like that. He broke his jaw once, and I was like, man, you know what? You're not talking me out of it. You're talking me into this.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so, that's a good group to be associated with. A name like that, man, Muhammad Ali. Yeah, man. No matter what it is.
Yeah. I felt like a little bit like kind of being like, man. But I was like, but I just went ahead and just took my surgery, and then I was real depressed for a good minute, and I actually lost weight with both my surgeries. I actually lost my weight where I was weighing back at 135. Like I was walking around at 135, no cut, no nothing. Like that's how bad my jaw break was, because I was walking around 155, and then I lost 20 pounds. Through my jaw break, so I had to rebuild myself back up. Not only was it just like twice, I had to do that twice. So both times I broke my jaw, I dropped weight all the way down to 135 because I couldn't eat, couldn't do a lot of things. So I had to rebuild my body 2 times. So that was the rougher part, was actually trying to build my body back up, because I was only like probably on less than 1,000 calories for that time. It was very brutal. But I grinded through it and just was like, man, I gotta come back in here and I gotta show what I'm worth. I'm not gonna let this be my last fight. I'm not gonna let this be like my story ending with MMA. And once I started getting my win streak back, I was like, all right, cool. The UFC is really a really good option for me. I can really make this.
Yeah. And so when you broke your jaw, you were on like a straight liquid diet, right? Like I mean, you were just drinking out of a straw, right?
The first time I was wired shut, so I was like this, talking the whole entire time I was like that for like about 4 to 6 weeks.
Wow.
4 to 6 weeks. Just this was me the whole entire time. I couldn't move. I couldn't open it. The next time I did it, they put in 3 metal plates, 1 up here and 2 right, and 2 up here, right here. And man, that one for me felt a little bit more secure than just the wires. But that But after that, like these metal plates, man, I don't know what they did to me, but it's helped me take a punch.
Yeah, right. That's what I was wondering. I was like, maybe it helps with your chin, right? Having some metal in there. Good stuff, man. Well, hey, we got a couple questions from some fans. Let's see here. This is a question from Cap Fuego. He says, who did you? What was your basically the question is, who was the person you hit the hardest? What was the hardest shot you've ever hit somebody with?
Man, that would probably have to be my last amateur fight. And that would have to be Peter Caballero. That was my last amateur fight. It was the last, like it was a combination that I just threw. Like I slipped the uppercut, I slipped his jab, and I came back with the uppercut, hook, and cross. And I missed the uppercut and hook, so I was already loaded up for that straight right hand when I threw it. Man, he just hit the floor. He hit the canvas pretty hard. But the next one right after that would probably have to be. I don't even think it was. You know what? Yeah, it was. It was one of my LFA knockouts, but it wasn't the initial knockout. It wasn't that one. It was the. I hit him with the combination going backwards. I hit him with like an uppercut and hook, and on the way back, I hit him so hard with the hook that I actually ended up fracturing my hand. I fractured my hand during that fight, and the uppercut that I landed on him, that the LFA likes to replay, like me stepping back in the uppercut. It wasn't hard. It was just perfectly timed and placed, and then he just ran into it. But the hook that I landed on him, the overhand left, I hit him really hard and ended up breaking my own hand.
Yeah, it's funny how you talked about not throwing or the strike wasn't so much hard as it was precise. I was just watching an interview with this guy, Sugar Sean O'Malley, who's fighting this weekend. He talks about how when he goes to knock dudes out, it's not about hitting them hard. It's just about hitting them in the right spot. Of course, Conor McGregor once said that too. He's up over here. He always said it's about the precision. I'm kind of curious. At the stage you're at right now, what is your mindset? Of course, you want to be groomed through the UFC the right way, but what is your mindset on some of these guys in the division right now at the top of the heap? What are your thoughts on how do you match up against some of these big names?
Oh man, it's a dangerous division, but that's what excites me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dangerous division, but like I said, man, it's what excites me, man. They're like any one of them can lose on any given day. This is the most stacked this division has been. You can go back and look at the history of the division. It's only been like at the most 4 guys. The top 15, they're all killers. They're all killers. But man, I'll tell you right now, man, I'm not a killer. I'm a murderer. I want to go in there and just start murdering people, man. The killers just go out there and just stab you. No, I want to leave you dangled and mangled, man.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
trying to go out there and just trying to finish these guys, man. So, much respect to every 135er, man, but I'm coming for everybody. So.
That's awesome, bro. I love the mindset. And, and it's funny you say that because I've always, throughout my entire time watching the UFC, or at least ever since the lightweight division's been established and it really started to grow, I've always been like the lightweight division is the most stacked division because most people on this earth walk around at that weight or whatever. But nowadays, man, I take a look at the rankings in the UFC, and we were just talking about this on a Fight Companion show with a bunch of people on the panel, and we pretty much feel, for the most part, a lot of the people on the show, the bantamweight division is really the most stacked division right now. I really feel that way. It's if anything, it's right there at the top. There's not a lot of divisions that are above the bantamweight division. So I love the mindset that you have being in that division. You have to have it.
Oh yeah, man. Look, because at a point in time, there was only 3 guys. It was only going to be Dominic Cruz, TJ Dillashaw, and Cody Garbrandt just having a ring around, just playing Shark Tank. But right now, like, man, you do that, you're holding up all these guys. They have so many guys right now. Like right now, you had Chito Vera versus Sugar Sean right now. They're going out there and fighting, man. I'll tell you right now, Sugar Sean better watch out too, because man, Chito's a dangerous guy. You can't take him lightly. And then all these guys, you got Pedro Munoz, then also, man, a lot of people, even though he got knocked out by Cody Garbrandt, but Rafael Sunsao is still a killer. You got all these guys. Ricky Simone, he's a killer. You never know if Uriah Faber's going to come back, and because he's an old killer, but hey, he's still a killer.
Oh yeah.
And you got a lot of these guys in there.
A lot of guys.
a lot of guys, and the scariest guy to me, man, isn't the champ. It's Aljamain Sterling.
Oh yeah, Sterling
Yeah,
looked amazing in that last fight, man, against Sanhagen. Looked
yeah,
amazing.
and the Sandman, man, he's a killer too, man. So this division is super stacked,
Yeah.
and I want my crack at all of them.
Yeah. Well, we can't leave one man out. At least I'm a fan of his, and I gotta talk about him. And Piotr Jan, bro. That guy,
Yeah.
at the top of the heap, he's a savage. That guy, man. You fight him in a 5-round fight, anybody, you're gonna have your hands full. But I look forward to you being up there one day, man. I'm gonna be watching you, man. I look forward to seeing you, make your way to the top. I'm excited, man.
Soon, man. I'll give myself a 3-year mark, man. 3 years. I'm trying to be there.
Awesome, man. Awesome. All right. We have a question here. One more question. Someone says, let's see. Ask him. Well, that's kind of a weird question, but somebody says, did you feel your opponent was an easy opponent? But I mean,
man, I'll say it like this. He was a tough opponent, and it's hard to have 12 fights and go 11-1.
exactly.
There's a lot of guys that go in there and try to go undefeated for a long time. Try to go undefeated. They pad their records. The last guy he fought was I think he was like 15-7 at the time. So he did have some competition, but also like his technique. I just like if we're talking about technique for technique, I'll say I'm just overall better than him. He might have had his record padded a little bit to me. I looked at it and I was like, no disrespect to Brady, man, but fights like that sometimes happen, but I don't see how they consistently happen. But yeah, I just say like this. He helped me showcase what I needed to showcase. I'm not gonna say he's an easy opponent, because man, look at 11 other people who try to take him out.
Yep.
So.
And that's the thing for the fans. They have to understand that, they really do. These guys are professionals. When you put a record like that together, and you're no joke. Doesn't really matter who you're fighting. You know what I mean? And let alone what Adrian went out there and did to him. He didn't just go out there and eke out a decision. I mean, what he did, you guys got to take note of. I mean, which you guys do. Everyone knows. Everyone's been talking about what you bring to the table. People know.
Him and Martin Day went longer than what I did to him.
Exactly.
Whenever Martin Day's in the UFC right now, and him and Martin Day didn't do what I did to him. Like I made Brady look really easy, really easy. And that guy, he's been doing martial arts since he was little. A lot of people don't know that. That dude grew up doing martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing it since I was a teenager. So man, he had the jump on me. But just a testament to what I do and what I've been doing along with my coaches. I'm just better, and I made it look easy.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way you gotta say it, man, for sure. I got a question for you too. Somebody asked, what's just a little bit of a weird question. Some of these questions we get are a little weird, but somebody says, is there a dream camp that you would want to train at? But I'm assuming you got some amazing coaches right now, so it's not like you're looking to jump ship. But I guess the question is there any other major camps that you admire or whatnot? Would you ever want to travel the country?
Man, I've there's probably I would probably name 2 places that I would want to go train at. But at the same time, I would only go train there for a little bit and then come back with the knowledge to implement it at where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, it's AKA or Tiger Muay Thai in Thailand.
Okay.
That's it. It's either I'm going strictly Muay Thai, getting some stand up, or going to AKA, because man, wrestling.
Yep.
They got the wrestlers. They got the great wrestling program. So I'd want to go over there and take their knowledge and just come back to where I'm at. Because a lot of people do this, man. They always like, man, they need to go to you need to go to a super camp. You need to go to this camp. You need to go to that camp. But what a lot of these people don't know is that what brings you to the dance is what's going to help you succeed. Because a lot of these people think like, man, what if I add this to my game? Well, you like if it's not broke, don't fix it. You just keep adding stuff to your toolbox. Take what you need and throw out the rest. Like I'm not gonna sit here and just try to throw like a flying scissor heel hook if I've never been doing it. I'm not gonna go out there and like I don't find much use for it in what I do. Like that's not my game. My game is to stand up and trade. I like boxing. I'm not really gonna go out there and wrestle. Don't expect me to wrestle with anybody. I'm gonna go out there and keep striking. You know, if I need to wrestle, I have it. It's always gonna be there, and I'm always working it. But whenever I go in there and fight, just expect a stand up trade and war. You know, and that's how my game is built, to stand up and trade. So I really don't want to go to anywhere else because they start adding like, well, you need to wrestle, you need to do this. Like just like whenever Eddie Bravo was talking about Aaron Pico, he's like, hey, he's like, man, we need to turn you into like a Khabib and all that stuff, you know, which he could possibly he has a skill set to do. That's not what he wants to do. He wants to go out there and trade and knock people out. He learns boxing and everything. So
he's ferocious, that guy, man. Ferocious with the hands.
Yeah, it would be like telling Francis Ngannou to go for a takedowns. No, he needs to work on his wrestling defense. Work on his wrestling defense, and then start starching people with the right hand.
I agree 100% with everything you're saying, man. 100%. And you know, I feel like, you know, as you're talking about, like, you know, you love your striking and whatnot, a lot of the fans happen to gravitate towards that type of fighting. Of course, you know, there's all types of fans. We love the whole sport. We love jiu-jitsu, this and that. But at the end of the day, man, when you're a solid striker and you're going out there and you're knocking dudes out, it goes a long way with the fans. I really believe that. You know what I mean? You get the bonuses. You get the big name fights. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm expecting from you. I think a lot of fans are expecting that from you too, man. I've been looking at a lot of the messages since your fight, and I've seen nothing but great stuff. You know what I mean? A lot of people are expecting big things from you. So I'm excited, man. Excited to see your next fight.
Oh yeah, man. Me too, man. I've gotten two great comparisons in these like past couple months, which I look at because after my fight with LFA, like somebody they did an article on me and they compared me to Dustin Poirier. Like they're like, oh, my boxing reminds them of Dustin Poirier, which I took, and I'm like, hell yeah, like if that, the UFC wants those type of fighters. So I'm happy to oblige. I'm that guy. I'm your guy. You want that? I'm your guy. Man. Then on this Dana White Contender Series, they're like, oh man, he's a little Jorge Masvidal, man. His striking reminds me of a young Jorge Masvidal. Which, hey, that guy goes out there and fights. So hey, man, if you want somebody like that, dude, I'm here. I'm your guy again. Here's my number.
Yeah. I saw the comparisons. I saw that it was going around, the comparisons to Jorge Masvidal. And then it's funny because you went out there and you got a knockout that kind of reminded me of a Jorge Masvidal type of knockout. Maybe against, you know, it wasn't exactly the same, but maybe like a knockout against Darren Till. Just the way you used your hands, the way you're very composed in there, you know what I mean, with your hands. You know, it seems like you're almost seeing things in slow motion. You're very calm with your, you know, you're sitting down on your punches. And I saw it. I agreed with it. So that's an excellent comparison, man. Both those guys, Poirier and Masvidal. And it's funny because they're training over here down the street from me. Both those guys over at Top Team, at least, you know, some of the time. Those guys are, you know, are beasts. So.
Oh yeah, that's another place I would like to go. I'd like to go to American Top Team, man. I just for the experience. There's a couple good guys out there, you know, that I know I can learn from. So and three.
Okay, there we go. Add Top Team to it. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I had like. I was just thinking about the other side of the world and where I'm at and everything. So, yeah, there's three places: East Coast, West Coast, and then Thailand.
I'll tell you this much: if you ever came to American Top Team, I live right down the street, so I know the whole area, and it's an area I recommend. You know, when things are back to normal, we got beautiful beaches over here, great nightlife. You know what I mean? We got Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach, Miami. You know what I mean? All the three counties. So it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah, man. I can't wait. I can't wait till it all opens up and I'm able to go do what I want to do, man.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, if you don't mind. I'm curious. Are you a single guy? What's going on with you in your personal life? Are you a single guy? Are you married? Any kids?
Man. Oh no, man. Not married. No kids. But man, I've been in a relationship for about 7 years.
Okay, 7 years.
Sure she wasn't looking at me. Right 7 years. 7 years, man. Good. And she's been. Like she helped me a lot. She helped me a lot, man. Like throughout everything, man. Like she helped me with whenever I had a broken jaw, broken hand, broken nose. Man, she's helped me a lot. She's been there for a lot. You know, she was there with and everything with my father and everything. You know, she's been very how do I say it, patient with me because she knows what I want to do and she knows, like, she believes in me. That's the other thing too, is that she believes in me. She doesn't. How do I say it? Like try to steer me, be like, look, just stay at your job. You know, this is for sure. You got this, and like, no, she's like, no, this is your dream. You want to go out there and
Yeah.
fight. You go out there. You go out there and chase it. So, and that's. To me, that's the biggest blessing. That's my biggest blessing over there. You know, I got a wonderful woman that goes out there and believes in me and always pushes me. Like if you look
Yeah.
at her Instagram, you'll probably see no pictures of her. It's all me. So,
That's
man,
awesome.
yeah, so I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed with it.
Yeah, definitely. And that goes a long way too, because, the route I was going with, in regards to that is like, you get signed to the UFC. Of course, again, I said things are a little different right now with everything, but eventually things are going to get back to normal. You're fighting in the UFC. You're a young guy. I mean, in some type of way, you're basically a celebrity. You're a young guy and you're kind of a celebrity in one type of way or another. And I think that, there's some distractions that can come with that. But like you said, you have a strong woman behind you. And, besides her, it seems like you're very grounded and you're very mature, for your age. Not that you're that young, really, but, you seem like you're a very mature guy. And I think those are the things that are really going to help you go, real far, even further, those having that strong base, behind you.
Oh yeah, man. I don't like, man. I'm too scared, man. I'm too scared. I don't want to get like. If I was single, man, I'd be scared, about sexually transmitted diseases and all that stuff, man. I'm too scared with all that, man. Like,
Yeah,
I don't want to get anybody like accidentally pregnant or anything like that. I don't want any of that. I don't want child support. I don't want any of that, man. So like, I'm really glad I got a woman with a good head on her shoulders that believes in me and keeps pushing me every day, man. There's been times, man, where there's been a couple times where I was like, after those hard fights, where I've just been like, fuck, man, like I'm like, I feel like I'm there, but this fight, just it didn't turn like the way I wanted to, and I just feel like quitting. It's like there's been points and times where I've like had to like, dude, I'm nowhere near close to my goal anymore, man, and whip me back up into shape and be like, no, you're not giving up on this. You dedicated so many years to this and like a lot of part of your life to this. You're not quitting now. So you came too far. So then I gotta give credit where credit's due. She's helped me stay in it.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome, man. Real good stuff. So, man, we've been running now for almost an hour, man. This is one of the best interviews that I've had, man. I really appreciate you coming on, man. I know the fans really, they love listening to this, and everyone that's going to be listening to this after the fact. We're running live right now, but this video is going to be posted. Do you want to let anybody know where they can catch you on social media? Any sponsors? Anything you want to shout out?
Oh man, I just want to say, man, thank y'all so much. Y'all can follow me on Instagram at Adrian Yanez 93 and at Twitter Yanez MMA. You can also follow me and like me on Facebook at Adrian Yanez MMA, all spaced out. So, man, I'm trying to get that page going up right now. Like, I was actually recording a lot of my stuff for the Dana White Contender Series, like me cutting weight, me doing my work, like doing some workouts. So, man, I'm gonna try to get that sent out so I can put it on my fighter fan page, so y'all can kind of go with me and see how I handled that whole experience. So, just trying to give a little bit of a backstory behind that, and just trying to see the events leading up to that, and then, be pretty cool. I think that would be awesome to let everybody know. And also, big shout out to HKA USA. They provided me with all my training gear for this fight camp. If it wasn't for them, man, dude, it would have been a lot harder. I had the crappiest training gear, and then they sent me in a shipment, and I was like, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. Big shout out to my coach, Saul Solis, and my management team at Iridium Sports Agency. Jason House and those guys, man, they treat me very well. They've made my life a lot easier. Other than that, man, thank you for the time, man. This was amazing.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate you, man. And again, it really seems like you have an awesome circle around you, man. So I'm happy for you, man. And like I said, I expect big things from you. Hopefully, I'll have you on the show down the line. Sometimes if you come back on sometime down the line, we can make it quicker or whatever works for you. Because I know when you become big time, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be reaching for your time and whatnot, man.
Oh yeah, man. I'm here, man. I'm ready. I'll make time for everybody, man.
That's awesome. I appreciate you, man. I'll be rooting you on for sure, man.
Yeah,
Thanks again. All right, Adrian Yanez. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, man.
That was awesome, huh? Great interview, man, from Adrian Yanez. I'm sure a lot of you guys feel like you really got to know him there, man. So we'll definitely be watching him, make his UFC debut, hopefully, in not that long of a time, not that long down the road. Could be very soon. Who knows? The UFC's putting on event after event, so it could be any time moving forward. Do any of you guys have any fights you would like to see him participate in? There was a couple guys that I was looking into that I thought would be good matchups for him for his UFC debut. Curious what any of you guys think as well. Let's see. There was a guy that he brought up. His opponent actually had a fight with him. Martin Day. Martin the Spartan Day. Martin Day is coming off a loss, but that was a fight he was looking really good in. And then, he got caught in that third round. Maybe a fight with Davy Grant. Davy Grant won that fight. Maybe a fight with Davy Grant or Martin Day. Or a couple other fights I wouldn't mind seeing him participate in. Maybe a rematch with Miles Johns. He lost that fight, but it was a split decision loss. And it was a very closely contested match. I'd like to see him get a rematch against Miles Johns. TKO or Tap saying top 25 fight, huh? Yeah. I think he's deserving of a top 25 fight, man. He looked very impressive. This guy has a lot of potential, so. Such a down-to-earth guy. Yeah, really, really down-to-earth. I wasn't just saying that just to say it. I truly believe that was probably one of the best interviews that we've had here. Super humble guy, and really got a chance to know him, huh? So it's going to be cool seeing him make his UFC debut. And now, we'll talk about the event taking place this upcoming weekend. We'll talk about that for a little bit. And then, other than that, I'm going to see you guys this weekend for the fight companion. Stipe Miocic taking on Daniel Cormier, of course, and Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Marlon Chito Vera in the co-main event. And other than that, there's a couple other nice fights taking place throughout the card. I want to talk about Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier. That's the fight I want to talk about. I've been interested, man, to see all your guys' messages. It's been split down the middle so much, man. Half you guys are all talking about Cormier, then you got the Stipe supporters, and you guys know I picked Stipe to win this fight. I just feel that this is Stipe's fight right here. I think if Stipe doesn't get caught early, like he did in the first fight, because Stipe he has a solid chin, but there's been points in time where he's been caught with a heavy shot and he's been put to sleep. Or he's been wobbled. We saw Stefan Struve finish him. We saw Cormier knock him out. And who else? I think he might have got knocked out by one other guy. Was it Stefan Struve? Cormier caught him. Oh, that was it. I guess that was it. The Junior Dos Santos fight was a decision loss. That was a very close fight. It says unanimous decision for JDS, but that was a fight that was very close if you run the tape back. And even though he got knocked out in those two fights that I talked about, the Cormier and Struve fight, we've seen him take some really, really solid shots in other fights. So he does have a strong chin. It's just sometimes you don't know. It's the heavyweight division. Francis Ngannou cracked him with a couple shots and wasn't able to put him away. Let's remember that too. Here's the thing. I know a lot of people have been talking about it's a small cage and Cormier is going to bring the pressure. He's going to be going for takedowns. And, this is Cormier's fight to win. Here's the thing. It's a small cage, but keep in mind that, it's a small cage. They're going to be engaging a lot more. There might be more wrestling and clinching exchanges, but that's also going to tire out Cormier more so. And I think where Cormier has the issue is that when he gets tired, like he did in the last fight, Stipe Miocic isn't going to get tired, and he's going to use his size and his reach advantage to start picking Cormier apart with those straights, working the body. And Stipe Miocic, to me, just looks like he's in phenomenal shape. So I'm picking Stipe to win the fight. That's the route I'm going. And, I hope it's just an amazing fight one way or the other. I'm a big fan of both these guys. But I got Stipe Miocic. And this is for who is the baddest man on the planet. More so if Stipe wins, because I guess if Cormier wins, it's kind of hard to say he's the baddest man on the planet when he's probably more naturally a light heavyweight fighter that has lost to John Jones twice. But if Stipe wins it, I will say he's the baddest man on the planet, and I would say it's John Jones' duty to go out there and defeat Stipe if he wants to be the baddest man on the planet, he's going to have to move up to heavyweight, move up to the heavyweight division. So that's how I feel about that. So we've been rolling for about an hour now, man. I appreciate all you guys that tune in for the show. Hope you guys appreciated, Adrian coming on the show. Again, Adrian Yanez, this is a guy that you guys are going to want to take note of. I'm telling you guys right now. This guy will be knocking out dudes inside the octagon relatively soon. So keep an eye on that. And that's about it. Fight Companion will start for the main card. I believe this card will be starting at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. I got to double check that. It might be 9 p.m. Eastern. Big pay-per-view card. Bunch of excellent fights. And I appreciate all you guys, man. Appreciate all you guys coming in, checking us out. And what else can we say? That's pretty much it. Of course, the complete breakdown video is up. If you guys are looking to get an edge for the fights, you guys, or if you're looking to get any background on these fighters coming into the Saturday's card, the video is up. And that's about it. I appreciate you guys. And on that note, signing out, The Teller.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller. The teller. The teller. The teller.